Wonderful.
Hey, Teresa.
Hey.
Good to see you. You're looking very smart.
Hey.
Face. Nice to see
Hey.
you.
It's great to see you too. And to
Hey.
see Amy and to see Liz.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hey. All right.
Hey.
According to my clock, we still have 1 minute remaining. So you know the drill. You've got your journal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Already.
All right. You're ready. Uh,
And
I
I do
wish I
put
could
as,
have. What was
right.
that, Joe?
I was going to say, I do put as you always catch me after my supper. So I've got my glass of wine from supper. So I'm not always drinking constantly, but this is the time I have the glass of wine.
Love it. I love it. And I so wish that we could have scheduled this at a time where Jen could have joined us. But I
Yeah,
just looked and was trying to, okay, how can I, okay, this, uh, but at
it's
least
hard.
we'll have the recording.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll have the recording.
Yeah.
So, all right. And I don't know who else will be joining us. I think I've been so busy and racing about with stuff that needed to happen for today in another front that I didn't even look back at the event announcement to see who had said, "Oh, I'll be joining you." So I have no idea who will be joining us.
I
I
had the
thought
impression,
Evan said he
yeah,
was
Evan and Chris.
joining, but I don't know if they'll be a couple minutes late.
Okay.
Yeah. And I thought Kristen said she had definitely
Mhm.
made sure that she wasn't doing anything at lunchtime so she could join.
Okay. All right. Well, they can just jump in when they come. I think we should start. And just so you're aware, in case it does end up being just the four of us, when we go to the breakout room, I'm going to have you as a trio go there together and you will just be working with each other. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to ask is, how is everyone doing? Oh,
Well, there's a loaded question.
how is everyone doing?
I told somebody in the elevator
All
a
the
couple days, like, we
things.
need a different question. Like, how are you? It's like, no, we need a different question. That's too much expectation.
Missed all the things. And I'm saying it with a dose of sincerity, a dose of you don't need to answer, it's rhetorical, all the things. So I'm actually not expecting an answer. I probably was more so expecting facial expressions and a deep sigh, which I feel like I got from Joe.
But I have an answer, Teresa. My answer is intentionally and very proactively
Mhm.
okay, but it's work. So I'm only okay because I'm working my butt off to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was pretty intentional about the last 2 days about kind of just, I guess, segmenting some time to.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, holding that space for the important stuff.
Yeah.
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 Hi, Kristen.
Ah, yeah. I feel like I am in a mode where I am desiring to be uber intentional with my bandwidth and with my
Mhm.
energy.
Mhm.
My peace is sacred to me these days. And I don't want anyone or anybody to threaten or cross that threshold into my peace territory because I will be kicking you out. You got to go. You got to go. All right. So raise your hand, whether you're using the virtual one or your actual one. Raise your hand if you've ever been on the receiving end of correction. All right. Let's leave them up and let's just look around the virtual room and just see the hands that are going up. Hello, Evan. Let me go ahead and ask you this question in case you're wondering why we're all just having our hands up as you pop in. The question that I just asked was, please raise your hand if you've ever been on the receiving end of correction. I love the way he was about to take a drink and then he was like, okay, wait, let me just go ahead and put my hand up. All right, hands down. Raise your hand if you've ever been on the receiving end of a reach. Look around at the hands going up. That one requires a little bit more thought and contemplation. And we could see that also on Joe's face as well. That one requires a little bit of thought. All right, so hands down. So that leads me to the question, what's the difference or what's the distinction between a correction and a reach? Is there?
Hmm.
I would say yes.
Me too.
I mean, because a reach may include corrections, but a correction may not be a reach.
Okay.
Hmm.
I see some heads nodding. Anybody want to add to that? What's the distinction between the two? Thank you for that, Liz.
Yeah. A correction is telling you what you did wrong. A reach feels more proactive about what you could do right.
Loving this. Can we keep it going? Anybody else want to chime in with their thoughts or their thorns?
That's, I think that there's a mixture between what Liz and Joe both said for me, is that I feel like a reach is something that is often proactive and correction is very reactive. So I don't think that they're always the same.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right. So let me say something about the reach that we won't necessarily get with the correction piece, which will help to set the stage for what we're going to be discussing today. A reach for sure should have a relational component to it. It's relational. I can correct you and I could care less about you or whether I ever see you again. I can tell you off and then do this and be done. Okay. The reach, however, requires or should require something more of us. It's relational. Okay. All right. So I have my notes here because I wanted to go ahead and just make this official. I had done a post a little while ago where I actually gave people like a time frame. Can you please let me know who's going to be your extended reach and let me know who that person is? And if you can, please use a fake name so that we can refer to that person from here on out. Some of you responded to that post. Some of you may have been working through who that person is going to be for you. Right now, because I know that there are at least two people here that are thinking in terms of more than one extended reach or possibly what I would call a hybrid type extended reach. What I want from you right now is I want you to give me the fake name of the person who is going to be your extended reach for the purposes of how we're going to frame a process around this. So again, I don't want to discourage anyone from having more than one extended reach, but I need for that one reach to be the one that will be my go-to when I ask you questions. Does that make sense? Okay, so Joe, can you give me the fake name of your extended reach?
I just have to, I'm going to try and remember to call them Dan and Anna.
So they are going to be a unit for you.
Dan and Anna, yeah.
Okay, so Joe is Dan and Anna. And for you, Liz, the fake name of your extended reach?
I mean, I'm doing my mother. I don't really know what fake name to do.
And that's why I chuckled when I asked you, because I do remember yours was mom.
There's no secret here.
We don't know her name, so the fact that you're just going to call her mom, that works for us. All right, so Amy?
Princess.
Princess. Okay, and Kristen?
Can I call mine Beelzebub?
Can we just say?
I'm being facetious, but I'm also wondering if that can be offensive to anybody. So how about just Bub?
Or
I don't want to learn how to spell it. So
I don't want to keep writing that out every time I ask you.
I'm just being me. So I'm gonna say Bub.
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 Are we spelling that B-U-B?
We are.
All right, then. And then Evan, the name of yours?
Finch.
Finch. Okay. There's so much that I could say right now, but I am going to refrain. There's so much that I could say, but let me
Trying to
say
figure
this.
out what reference the fake names are.
I can't with you all today. But you know what? Laughter is a beautiful thing. And I'm currently in the middle of a series where I'm just celebrating just laughter as a gift. The alternative is not as nice. So I'm going to embrace the laughter. So I thank you all for that, for making me smile and chuckle through that. I need for you to find a clean space in your journal. And I'm going to share my screen with you because I do have a 1-minute journal question that I want to ask you. And when I say 1 minute, I'm going to go over the journal question with you to make sure you understand it. And then I'm setting my timer for 1 minute to allow you to just free write on it. All right, let's share my screen, Husbander. All right. All right. Can everybody see that? All right, so here's what I want you to journal on when I set my timer. When is a time that someone could have given up on you but didn't? What questions do you have for me about what I'm asking you to journal on? Liz, anything?
Oh, no, I was just, for some reason, my settings were wrong and your faces were covering up half the thing. So,
Oh.
but no, I fixed it on my end, so it's not.
Okay.
So sorry.
Okay, can everybody see the question in its entirety?
Yes.
Okay, so again, when is a time that someone could have given up on you, but they didn't? So if I have no questions about the actual prompt, oh, Liz, excuse me, Amy?
Is this in regard to just in life in general or specific to our anti-racism journey?
What a great question. This is a universal question. It has universal applicability. It does not have to be the anti-racism space, and it does not have to be something that involves Teresa. All right. And I actually would prefer it if you journaled on somebody other than Teresa. All right. So let me set my timer for 1 minute to just give you an opportunity to free write on that. All right. There's my timer. And of course, if I'm only giving you 1 minute to start the process, that does not mean that I want you to flesh out everything. I just want you to get started with the process. And I'm hoping that in the 1 minute that you did spend thinking and writing, it would lead you to something. But let me ask you this question. Why would I have you respond to this type of a journal question? Well, why do I even want you to answer it for yourself? Liz?
You don't want us to give up on what we've committed to for the reach. So you want us to think of ways that we've received something we may not have necessarily earned. And how do we put that into somebody else?
Okay. Anybody else? Evan?
That's a good way to get us to put ourselves in the shoes of the person who we're reaching, so we can see things from their perspective. They wouldn't want us to give up on them, just like we wouldn't want someone to give up on us.
Wow. Wow. All that is very powerful. Joe.
Also about positioning, that you don't think that you're in a superior position, that, you know, we all could be in that place. So positioning is important.
You all know I usually don't give out cookies, but I will tell you, cookies for all. Every single one of you were spot on, which is so wonderful for me because I don't have to tell you why I'm asking you this. You already know. I also want you to think back to, I mean, it's off the screen now, but do you notice what that initial phrase was in the actual prompt? And I'm looking at my copy. When is a time? When is a time was put there deliberately because I wanted each and every one of you to invoke that memory of when it was you. For some of us, based on where we are in our journey, we might be thinking, you know what, it's been 5 years since I engaged in that kind of dumb fuckery. And so we may get this false sense of, yes, I am superior, to Joe's point. Oh, I'm so much better than you. Oh, I'm so much further along than you. And that air of superiority can inevitably come across in the energy of your reach. And you know, us as humans, we pick up on so much more than the words that we say, which is why I am an in-person facilitator because I am reading everything, all the things. So I need for each and every one of us to go back to those places where we were in the shoes of the people that we would reach, when we were in the shoes of the people that we would correct. And I also needed to underscore that the extended reach has a dual nature. Does anyone remember why I say it has a dual nature? It's because it's reaching who?
Us.
It's
Without
reaching
and
me
within.
and that person. So in that sense, it's a dual nature reach. Now, that makes it all very interesting, and interesting is an understatement, but it also is going to add a certain level that we've not necessarily experienced before with calling in or calling out or correcting, right? This is a truly human endeavor, and it is going to require so much more of you, but it is also going to expose that much more of you. All right. So, with that being said, let me go ahead and put up the key reach indicators. Okay. And I'll make sure I share these with you all because I don't want you to feel like you have to sit here and jot down everything. I promise you that these are things that I will put in the community for you to have. Right now, though, I want you to focus on looking and listening and then also responding. I don't want you to be distracted by trying to take notes and copy down what's there. On your screen, you'll notice I've kind of divided it into two blocks, right? So on the left side, I've got a they block, and on the right side, I've got that you block. When we start talking about what are going to be key reach indicators, I've given you some general ones, but there are going to be some that will need to have specificity based on what you already know about your extended reach, but then also what you know about yourself. So let me go through the general ones for them, which should be across the board, general KRIs for all of us. So how do you know when the reach is quote unquote working? They're going to stop avoiding the hard topics. I'm not saying that they're going to run to you and jump into your arms and beg you for, your insights on X, Y, and Z, but they're going to stop avoiding it. That's going to be one KRI. But then also another one is, you know what? They're going to start asking you ideally real questions instead of just reacting to you or, backbiting or lashing out. And then the third one is they're also going to engage in follow-up, meaning the seed that you plant, you may not be able to see an immediate flowering of that seed, but perhaps after a while, that person has thought about something, and then you know what? They're going to come back to you and follow up after they've had an opportunity to think about that moment, that thing that happened, or that thing that was said. So those are what I would call 3 general ones that all of us should be mindful of. What else needs to go, though, on this general list if we're talking universal KRIs? What's missing? What else?
There's nothing about how they treat others.
Okay. How they're treating others. And I'm going to jot down myself some of what you're giving me back. Anything else that you think should be on this list?
Mine's a bit similar to Liz. It's about impact. We want to measure impact as well as intention or, you know, thinking spaces. So maybe change behavior as well as change
Okay.
thinking.
Yeah, the way they're showing up.
Change in behavior, change in how they're showing up. Okay. Anything else should be on that list?
I don't know how to phrase this, but even just in my case, that they don't always come back. They don't always react with, oh, I didn't mean it like that, or oh, I didn't need to do that. That they start saying, oh, thank you for telling me, or something like that, that there's less of a reactive and more of a contemplative reaction.
So they're moving away from intent statements and they're more in tune with their impact on others, and they're able to recognize it.
Yeah, more quickly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
Is that also less defensiveness?
That's kind of where I was going, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you are not speaking the language of intent automatically, that's definitely as a sign that you're being less defensive, because intention usually comes from that place of I'm defending myself, I'm protecting myself. Yeah. All right. Nice. And there's probably more that you would think of, but how are you all with having these 3 definitely be a part of the core KRIs? Okay.
Very well.
Good.
Okay, I'm going to flesh out this list some more because I want to fold in the feedback that you all just added to this. And then Joe, I see your hand up.
Yeah. I guess there's something about and who's measuring the impact, because it doesn't matter how well we think they're doing or they think they're doing, but does it actually have an impact on your intended group, which is generally going to be the marginalized group? So who gets to judge the impact?
And also your quote unquote powers of observation, so that you're actually staying very cognizant of what and who is going on around you. All right. Woohoo. Man, I'm giving out cookies today. Liz.
Making me hungry.
Uh-oh, me too, actually. Me too. Liz, I see your hand up as well.
Why is there 3 and then only 1? Is there a specific reason for that? I mean, there's usually a reason, but like,
I always have
could
my
you enlighten us on the reason?
Oh, okay. So let's go ahead and shift our attention. I tell you, sometimes I feel like people will swear that I have plants in the group because that actually provides the transition. You do see over on the right-hand side, we're not starting with the word they, right? For them, we're now focusing on you, but folded into that one, there are several pieces to it. So a KRI for you, and this is me giving you what should be one of your general KRIs for yourself, that you're responding with more clarity, with less reaction, and another big one, fewer rehearsed talking points. I know for a lot of us, we have our go-to things that we say, our go-to scripts perhaps. We've got to get better at customizing and tailoring it to the person, to the situation, to the context, to the day of the week, to everything. We've got to take that we know to say and really tailor it to the person and everything that's going on. I hope that makes sense. So even though there's one thing there, there's a couple of things folded in. And now I'm about to ask you, before I ask you what else, because maybe what I'm about to tell you will take care of the what's else, I need you to find a clean space in your journal. And I need for you to write these letters vertically so that you will be able to go back and fill them in. SHEP, SHEP. Write those 4 letters big, but write them vertically so that you save space for what to write next to it.
It's like S like Sam, H like Harry, E like Emily, P like Paul.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you. All right, you've got your SHEP in place? Okay. So this now speaks explicitly to the dual reach nature of an extended reach. You are going to be managing your own threshold for those 4 things. Okay? You're managing your threshold for these 4 things. And I'm big on acronyms because they just help me to remember. And hopefully that will resonate for people here to just kind of help you to remember. All right. So that first S is going to be staying power. Staying power. What's that going to be like for you? What will that need to be like for you? And for those of us that connect to our faith, if you want more of a tie-in that resonates, you can also use the word steadfastness. Okay, so we've got staying power or steadfastness based on your own personality and how those terms resonate for you. Okay. The H would be humility. And guess what? I am absolutely happy that I don't have to say anything about that because we've already had folks to touch on this and why this piece is so important. Thank you, Joe, Liz, and Evan. Okay. What do you think the E is for? If you have to look at the direction of where we're going and why it would be important for you to be managing your own threshold for these things.
Emotional maturity?
Empathy.
Empathy.
But for those of you, again, based on how it resonates, empathy, you could use that, but you can also give a more general term, emotional intelligence. It's up to you, whatever's going to resonate. But the acronym that I'm using is SHEP. So when you use it, I'll know pretty much what you're talking about. And lastly, but certainly not least, this is the one that's been a challenge for me. And sometimes when I get tested for it, I come up negative. What's the P?
Patience.
Patience. Patience. I would not suggest that you replace patience with anything else but patience because the persistence piece really belongs up in the S category. Okay. So I'm going to dig my heels in on the P, remaining patience. So there you have it, SHEP. Okay. With this slide still being up, I've got something that I'm going to ask you that may blow your mind. I've divided this between them and you, right? To kind of highlight the dual nature of the reach, but then also to give you those KRIs. But let me ask you this. Aren't the 2 sides interchangeable when you think about it? I got some people who are shaking their heads.
Absolutely.
Aren't the 2 sides interchangeable when you think about it?
Yes.
And for those of you that are nodding yes or saying yes, how so? How so are they interchangeable?
In terms of reach, I could very easily not go to my reach with a hard topic. I could, so it's all, I can totally flip-flop them.
Okay, so check it out. Every place where I put they, put you because it still works. You stop avoiding hard topics. You ask real questions instead of just reacting to their dumb fuckery. You follow up with them when both they and you have had an opportunity to process and think more about what happened in that moment. Every place you see a they, you could also put a you. So the dual nature also becomes a dual stretch, and it also becomes one of mutuality, doesn't it? which then should tie us back to how this is so relational, so different from just you calling in and calling out somebody that one time they did that dumb fuckery or said that dumb fuckery. Okay. Huh. All right. So let me ask you this. So would I be able to move on the other side and replace that you with a they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ooh, look at folks are saying, yeah. If we change that you to a they, does it still work? And if it still works, how does it still work? How does that still work? We were talking about you. Somebody tell me. All right, Amy, tell me, how does it still work?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can absolutely put you for myself on the opposite side, and for the person that is my extended reach, she definitely has her talking points. She definitely has her canned responses when we have broached these conversations, and she knows the buttons to push to get me to
Mhm.
react instead of staying in a less reactive space.
Yeah.
So it is a two-way street. So I
It
love
is
this.
a two-way street. So
Mhm.
there you have it, a fully integrated KRI list that has that type of mutuality and does this. So we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, right?
Mhm.
It's a back and forth. It's a back and forth, almost like a dance.
Mhm.
Almost like a dance. All right, nicely done. We're at half past the hour, and this is the point where I need to send you into the breakout room for 15 minutes. So, in terms of timing, and I always say this and then I jinx it. In terms of timing, we're doing quite well at this point. Please know that I want to send you there for 15 minutes. Let me go ahead and put that up so that you know what scenario you'll be working on. And obviously, you'll be working in pairs and a trio, a pair and a trio. All right. So here's the scenario. All right. And this will be available to you in the breakout room for you to glance at and refer to. All right. So you successfully reached your extended reach about a certain topic before. So this is something that you've covered before, right? And notice I put the word successfully in quotation marks. And now that same topic has come up again. This time, your extended reach is being extra and dismissively says to you, why are we still talking about this? So, in the breakout room, I want you to have a conversation in which you address these three things. When that person says that to you, why are we still talking about this? What's your what now response? What do you do? And then next, how are you going to stay grounded in the dual nature of the reach? So think SHEP, but also think those extended reach enablers that I gave you. Raise your hand if you got a chance to look at that one sheet resource that I put in the community. And if you haven't, no worries. My goal is not to shame anybody. I just want to let you know that that's a very valuable resource that you can also draw on. And then last but not least, what is your own KRI in that moment? Okay. So I'm focusing that last piece on you. Okay. The first piece is probably more focused on that person, the what now. All right, Liz, what questions do you have for me before I send you to the breakout room?
Mute.
Oh, you're muted?
There we go.
Okay.
When you say your own KRI, do you mean distinct from the list that you gave us, one that we come up with for ourselves? Or
One
do you
that you
mean
come
like,
up with
okay,
yourself. It
okay,
may coincide with something that we've already seen on that list, but it doesn't necessarily have to, right? Because remember, I said there is going to be cases where there is specificity to what that KRI looks like for you. Okay. So there might be overlap with our list we just looked at. There might not be. But in this moment, in this particular scenario and situation, what's your own KRI going to be in that moment? Great question, Liz. What other questions do you have for me before I send you away? Before I send you away. That didn't sound right, did it?
Mhm.
All right, looks like we can go. I've got a trio and I've got a pair. Let me see if there's any switching around I want to do. Yes, I want to do a little bit of switching around. Yes. Okay. Let's put let's put Dr. Joe and Amy together, please. Let's put Dr. Joe and Amy together. Okay. All right. I'm sending you to the breakout room, and this slide will be available for you to view when you're in there. All right. I'll see you shortly.
Okay, wait, Liz, finish your thought. Was it patience? Is that what you'd said?
I don't remember. We had such a good conversation, and then we get to the end and we're like, okay, wait, what did everybody say? And we're like, I don't know.
I love it. And again, they're going to think you're a plant, Liz. All right. So typically when you all are in the breakout room, we come back and we do like a mini debrief. We're not doing that this time because guess what? I am going to be asking each and every one of you to join me in what I call a collaborative debrief. Let me explain to you how that's going to work. Before I retire for the evening, I am going to start a thread or start a post that's going to be called Collaborative Debrief from our Learning Lab today. And in that post, I am going to be asking each and every one of you to share your thorns around the first 2 questions you were asked to discuss when you were in the breakout room. All right. So that means pulling up your conversation or your notes or whatever you talked about. Of those 3, there's only one that I want us to be willing to share now. The third question was, what's your own KRI in that moment? For those of you that feel like you can succinctly express that in either a single word or a phrase, I'd love for you to share that with the group. Amy.
Patience.
Patience. All right. Evan.
Patience.
Patience. All right. Kristen, did you have your hand up?
No, but same.
Same.
Yeah.
Patient. Liz?
No.
I can't do one word. I'm sorry.
Okay. Or a
Um,
phrase?
Phrase, if I can separate the harm she's done to me from the harm she's done to others. So as long as I can in that moment.
Okay. So let me see if I'm hearing it right. The way I heard it is being able to compartmentalize in a healthy way.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's how my brain is trying to process because I again am taking notes on what everyone is saying and trying to hold on to it. But again, when I put the post up, by all means, I want you to elaborate on any of the 3, but for sure the 2 that I'm going to be asking you to respond to. Joe, did you have a word or a phrase that you wanted to share around your own KRI?
I think it's the persistence, and particularly in the face of fragility, because I think that can derail me more than anything,
Okay.
which is perhaps an unusual one. Is so if someone's very fragile, I find that's when I can really back off.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so with that being said, please find a clean space in your journal, my lovelies, my beautiful ones. Find a clean space in your journal. I've got my timer set for 1 minute. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do in that 1 minute, because this is another brainstorming for you. What challenges do you anticipate in reaching this person? You are the person that knows this person better than anybody here. You already know a lot of insider information about the extended reach that you've chosen. So with that being said, what are the challenges that you anticipate in reaching this person? Generate a list for yourself, and I'm going to give it 1 minute on my timer. Evan, question from you.
Challenges for them or for ourselves?
I didn't want to answer that. I'm going to leave it open. And there's a reason why I'm leaving it open. Challenges. This is a dual nature reach. So what do you think I would mean by challenges?
Both.
You have learned well, Grasshopper. All right, my 1 minute timer is set now. Anticipate the challenges, generate them, write them down, whatever you think they are. All right, there's my timer. All right. Raise your hand if you've got at least one challenge on your list. Okay,
Just
that's all of us.
one.
Great. At least one. All right. So here's what I need for you to do. Quickly eyeball your list, and I need for you to circle the one that you feel will be among your greatest of challenges. Circle one that you believe is going to be among your greatest. Okay. And look up at the screen to let me know that you're done with that circling process. Yes. All right. Raise your hand if the challenge that you circle is a you focus challenge. Okay, so we've got Amy and Liz that have identified a you focus challenge. So am I right in assuming perhaps that the rest of you have identified a they focus challenge?
Both.
Not necessarily, because it's not necessarily the case. All right, but Evan, you say yes?
Me, no, I don't know. It could be on both sides.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm just jotting down a few notes. You don't need to elaborate, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. All this will be explained. All right.
Yep.
Because sometimes the challenge can be an other outside of you and that person. Sometimes it can be an environmental challenge. It could be so much. But I needed to ask those two questions. How many have identified a you challenge? How many have identified a they challenge? So Kristen says it kind of could be both.
Mine's
Yeah.
also both. It's a relation, in the relationship between.
Okay, then. And I'm going to write you down as I'm going to just shorthand for myself. I'm just going to put kind of both.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm setting my timer for 1 minute yet again. I need for you now to find a new page in your journal. You're going to be working with whatever challenge that was that you circled. For the 1 minute on my timer that I'm giving you, I want you to brainstorm ways to address the challenge or overcome the challenge. 1 minute. Any questions for me before I set my timer? All right, 1 minute timer. Go. All right, there's my timer. Okay. I took you through 2 iterations of 1 minute. The first minute, I said brainstorm the challenges you think you'll face. I then had you to look at your list and circle what you believe to be perhaps one of your greatest challenges. And then for that second 1 minute time frame, I had you to start brainstorming ways to address or to overcome the challenge. I think we're at a place in our relationship that I don't need to tell you the value in doing something like that. But I do want to reiterate that that was just a start. There begs to be a continuation of the process that I just got you started on. I only had you to circle how many?
One.
I had you to circle 1. You may have other things on your list. So then you need to be thinking, how am I going to be a planner and then proactive in this entire extended reach? Now, I'm going to go ahead and put up my closing thorns. And I'm going to briefly go over them with you as things that are important for you to know. And then, like you all have just done, I realize that I'm not going to have an opportunity to go over with you the common stumbling blocks that you might face. So what I did is while you were working of my list, I circled the big one that I want to share with you after I go over these closing thorns. This slide will be made available to you in the community, but let me just reiterate. When you get resistance from your extended reach person, please know that that can show up or manifest as fear or discomfort. We had a really rich conversation about not putting the person in a box where you're saying this is a dumb fuck versus this behavior. Resistance is usually coming from some place, and it's not personal against you. I also want to remind us that, you know what? Your extended reach is not required to get it on your timeline. You yourself have been on your own timeline as it relates to your journey, what you've gotten, what you still have yet to get. You can't expect other people to be on your timeline in terms of them getting it when you want them to get it and then getting perhaps frustrated and then giving up. And then last but not least on my closing thorns list is this. An extended reach is not about us converting someone. It's about us reaching someone. And I would ask for those of you that are journalers to really think about what is the distinction between converting someone and reaching someone, because this is not a conversion that we are doing, that we are engaging in. Okay. Now, the big kahuna stumbling block that I want to share with you before we dismiss. So let me stop sharing my screen because I want to see everybody's face when I share this. First and foremost, there are several common stumbling blocks. I wish we had time for me to go over them, but again, I circled the big one on my list. Let me share it with you. It's if you ever get to a point where you stop seeing the human and you start seeing a project. Ooh, that's a big no-no. That's not the narrative that you should be going into this with. And I'm going to repeat that again. It's if you ever reach a place where you stop seeing the human and now all you see is a project. Raise your hand if you're starting to get where I'm going with this and the implications of this. Yeah, this is a huge one. And I've seen so many people fall into this trap, myself included, because I can be so process oriented sometimes, especially because I like to develop resources and helpers for people. Sometimes I could lose track of, this is still a human, Teresa. This person is not a framework. This person is not a paradigm. This is a person, okay? All right, with that being said, I did it. I'm a minute over, but we did it.
Can I
And
say
again-
one thing?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, you
I
may
want to
say.
call myself out because the conversation we just had, we were talking about how to approach our individual people. And we
Mhm.
all know who Liz's ER is, right? So I suggested, what if you step back and see it as a data point and not, because there's so much history and emotion there. Like, so I feel like I've just said, I've showed you what not to do, but I still think that there might be a way to like write down your questions and thoughts from a
I'm
cooler
so
perspective.
glad. I'm
I
so
don't know.
glad that you brought that up. So
Mhm.
I'm not saying that resources and data points are not going to be useful. You've got
Okay.
to integrate them in such a way that does not impinge upon you viewing that person as a human.
Okay.
If you're not able to do that, then
Mhm.
abandon. But you have to know that there is a way to do
Mhm.
it. But if you're unsure, or if you cross that line where, okay, now this is a project, even you
Mm.
looking at that person, you're my project. No, no, no.
Okay.
What was that R word we used at the beginning of near the beginning of the session? What R word did we use?
That's a whole hour ago.
Direction.
Receiving?
Relational.
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 Yeah.
I love it. Kristen was like, you expect
I
me to
don't
remember that? That was a whole hour ago. I
a
love you,
little
Kristen.
ADHD.
I love you too.
Love you, Kristen. I absolutely adore you.
I am who I am.
Yeah, but you know what? I like it when I hear it from you versus me having to say it. And the fact that I had folks who remembered, that was a beautiful thing. That you didn't remember, that's okay too, but it's relational, right? Yes. I so enjoyed today's conversation just as much as I enjoyed last month's. I appreciate all 5 of you being here. We are nearing 5 minutes after the hour. Unfortunately, I can't stay later because I do have another obligation. Be on the lookout before I retire for the night for that thread, because you now have become my collaborators in that debrief thread that I'm going to start.
Awesome.
That's not to say you need to add to it today. It'll just show up today. You add to it whenever the timing is convenient for you, because we're going into the weekend. So whenever it's convenient.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, all.
Thanks, everyone.
Take good care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.